Welcome to this recording of the infinite nature of God. This inspiring discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the Self-Realization Fellowship International Headquarters in Los Angeles, California, on January 28, 1937. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. The Hindu scriptures state that God is beyond comprehension by mind and intellect. Powerful as they are, their scope is insufficient to contain him, so the human mind is incapable of a true conception of God. The question, who made God, arises only because mind cannot comprehend that which has neither beginning nor end. When you are looking at the sun millions of miles away in the sky, that huge luminary seems smaller by far than our Earth. Yet the diameter of Earth is roughly 7,900 miles, and the sun is more than 100 times that wide. If you could place our planet next to the sun, Earth would appear by comparison a tiny dot. Let us suppose the giant solar orb is expanding, growing more and more huge, until the vast blue expanse of the sky is entirely swallowed up by its mass. The space thus filled is nevertheless but a particle, a mere speck, of the space that spreads through countless universes and into infinity. Were the sun to go on endlessly enlarging in space, still it would not be able to take the measure of infinity. The cosmic delusion of finitude prevents the mind from conceiving such vastness. Where are its boundaries? Whence came this endless void? The originless immeasurable is God. Omnipresent in the farthest reaches of space, he is in the distant stars and in you and me, and he is conscious every moment of every place he is. God is not mind, he created it and he is beyond it. Otherwise, we could conceive him in our minds. We can accurately call him divine consciousness, divine joy, divine existence, but not mind. Though mind is incapable of encompassing omnipresence, it is nevertheless able to feel God. Feeling his presence and measuring it are two different experiences. The wave cannot measure the ocean, but there is a point of contact between them. So where the infinite becomes the finite, there is a point of contact, the superconscious mind. That mind can feel God. When we expand the ordinary mind until it impinges on the superconscious mind, we are able to feel his presence. We have descended from the infinite into the finite. Yoga is withdrawal of the attention from externals in order to focus it on the inner source of truth. Only in this way can we discover how God has condensed his consciousness into the multitudinous finite forms of his creatures and the universes they inhabit. The human body is the most intricate of all his creations. A single original cell, the united sperm and ovum, divides, and by multiplication of the process, builds up trillions of cells around itself to create the bodily temple that houses our divine soul consciousness. You don't realize how much energy is locked in even 1 little gram of flesh. Its release would spread countless electrons far into space, and the power and extent of the consciousness that is present in the body is beyond human conception. Though externally we are made of flesh, behind its gross cells are electrical currents, life currents, and behind these subtle energies are the thoughts and perceptions. Thought is inexhaustible. Since the world began, thoughts in unimaginable numbers have passed through the ether. One could not begin to count them, but it is possible to get some idea if you reflect on how many thoughts and feelings you expressed during your own lifetime. Millions. Try to remember all you have thought in just 1 year, or even in 1 day. Consider the accumulation of thoughts of every human being through unrecorded ages past. God knows them all. Mind cannot measure even the subtle phenomena of nature. How many electrons whirl in the electricity that flows into the light bulbs here in the chapel? Trillions, dancing together, make this light you behold. These ultra-microscopic particles are moving at a speed equivalent to traveling from here to New York or to any other part of the world in a few seconds. Scientific experiments are proving this. If you try to calculate how many protons and electrons are condensed in our Earth, the mind goes only so far and then stops. What is revealed to the searching mind seems infinite, but there is a point beyond which ideas become too subtle to follow. From that sphere where the mind cannot penetrate, God is pouring forth his essential light, the cosmic intelligent vibration that structures finite creation. If we use the mind properly, we can understand how God is beyond mind and intellect, and how his true nature can be felt only through the soul's power of intuition. We must find his consciousness through the superconscious mind, the nucleus of mind and intelligence. His infinite nature is revealed to man through the intuitive superconsciousness of the soul. The joy felt in meditation reveals the presence of eternal joy spread over all creation. The light seen in meditation is the astral light, from which our tangible creation is made. Beholding this light, one feels a unity with all things. The ordinary person lives in the world but is relatively unconscious of its nature and purpose. A life of such limited perception is not unlike that of the animals. We used to have here at Mount Washington a goat that was invariably attracted by my voice. One day, while I was speaking in this chapel, the goat came trotting in and right on up the aisle to me. I am sure it didn't know what I was saying. It simply liked to hear my voice. But you come to these lectures not only to listen to the words, but also to feel the presence of God behind them. If you attune your consciousness with his consciousness and remain in that current of bliss, you will feel atonement with him. Whatever understanding I have attained has been acquired by becoming attuned to God's consciousness within. This you too can accomplish. As one develops spiritually and realizes his kinship with all that lives, his responsibility to share the suffering of others increases. Jesus was willing even to suffer in sharing the afflictions of others. We too must do what we can for those who are shivering with cold and disease. It is a nightmare for them, and whatever of their woes we can remove, we are removing them from God also. He is not happy when his children are in misery, for he suffers in them. At this moment, most of you are enjoying beauty and peace, but think of those in Louisville today. Thousands are suffering there because of the floods. Once, long ago, I was thinking how wonderful America is without the disasters that afflict so many countries. Then God showed me the floods that are occurring now. The vibrations of the thoughts and feelings of thousands being killed in the fighting in Spain have caused atmospheric changes that are responsible for these floods and other disasters around the world. War spews out vibrations of wrong that throw all nature out of balance and harmony, causing natural catastrophes. God gave freedom to man, and man has misused that freedom. This is the cause of all suffering. The misuse of our God-given free will has terrifying consequences. I would rather someone tell me that I'm about to do wrong than allow me to act and not wake up until years later to the harm I had done. Suffering is therefore not the work of God, but of Satan's power of Maya, delusion. This force creates the ignorance that blinds people to the consequences of their actions, causing them to err and thus bring suffering upon themselves. Those who are fighting in Spain, both the government forces and their opponents, think they are trying to do right. The only way to avoid error is to develop the discriminative wisdom to know what is wrong and then resolve not to do it. One wrong fighting, another wrong doesn't make a right. The true enemy of man is ignorance. It must be driven from this earth. We have everything necessary in the world today to bring about the millennium. Only man's selfishness makes it impossible. Tremendous unnecessary suffering is created by man's short-sighted self-interest. Money that could feed and clothe needy people is used instead for destruction. The root cause of the world's troubles is this selfishness born of ignorance. Each person thinks he is doing right, but when he seeks to satisfy only his own interest, he is setting in motion the karmic law of cause and effect that will inevitably destroy his own and others' happiness. The more I see of world tragedies caused by man's ignorance, the more I realize that even if every street were paved with gold, happiness would not be lasting. Happiness lies in making others happy, in forsaking self-interest to bring joy to others. If each one would do that, then everyone would be happy, and all would be taken care of. That is what Jesus meant when he said, "All things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them." A federation of all religions and all nations is necessary, but such a union will come only when every individual engages in that meditation which leads to direct contact with God. Communion with Him is the solution. When one has realized God, he no longer feels that others are different from himself. Unless such wisdom comes, not to just a few, but to all men, there will be no freedom on earth. Even here in America, freedom is not total. Suffering still abounds. Each one of us has a responsibility to bring peace and happiness to our country and to all men. One should care not only for his own nation, but all countries, not only for one's own family, but for all mankind. The ordinary man's interest is limited to himself and his surroundings, but the man of God identifies with the whole world. Don't think the contribution made by your spiritualized consciousness is small. Your part may mean very much. In order to know God, you must become like Him. In spite of our transgressions, in spite of our forgetfulness of God and great indifference to Him, still He lovingly gives us life and all that supports life in this world. Nothing is greater than God. Indifference to Him is the highest sin. Those who are not willing to give up all they have to find Him will not know Him. Whoever would know God must be able to forsake all else for Him. Jesus was trying to make His disciples understand this truth when He told them to keep watch and pray with Him at Gethsemane. But when they fell asleep, He sadly observed, "The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Man is like a puppet. The strings of his habits, emotions, passions, and senses make him dance to their bidding. They bind his soul. He who is unwilling or unable to cut himself free in order to know God will not find Him. I see myself apart from these attachments. I eat, and sometimes I don't eat. I sleep, and sometimes I don't sleep. I gave up all physical necessities to prove to myself that I do not need them. God doesn't eat or sleep. He isn't bound by senses and habits. That is what makes Him God, and we are made in His image. We should be able to give up everything to know Him. Seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Despite all the tests I have gone through for Him, in the end, God has given me everything I wanted or needed of this world. And I have given it all back, for He has bestowed on me a gift infinitely greater, divine joy. In that joy, all desires that come into my heart are satisfied. Meditation lifts the fog of ignorance. In the Bhagavad Gita, recorded by sage Vyasa, Lord Krishna explains that if your innate wisdom is covered over with ignorance, you are deluded and thus stumble through life. Tamasic, ignorant action is that which is instituted through delusion, without measuring one's ability and disregarding the consequences, loss to oneself of health, wealth, and influence, and harm to others. When the fog of ignorance is removed by meditation, you will see the right path. You will be troubled no more. You will find fulfillment eternal. Verily, nothing else in this world is as sanctifying as wisdom. In due course of time, the devotee who is successful in yoga meditation will spontaneously realize this within his self. These truths are all real to me. Truth is reality. Self-realization is not something one can learn from books. It comes only through personal experience. Realization of truth, experience of God, not dogma merely, is what every religion should bring to its followers. What Jesus Christ realized, we too must experience. He didn't teach that His followers should worship Him as a personality, but rather experience what He experienced in His oneness with God. That can be attained only by meditation and by following God's laws. To worship Jesus because He is Jesus is not enough. Embrace the universal ideals He taught and strive to be like Him. We are here on earth in this particular body form for just a little while to learn our lessons and move on. Whither are we headed now? Think how many pages have already been turned in the Lord's dream novel of creation. When I visited Salt Lake City, I saw in vision a great ocean and mammoths walking on the shore. Later, I learned that the skeleton of an ancient mammoth had recently been found there. As human beings, we have God-given power to cast away every habit and limitation and spread our consciousness throughout creation, penetrating not only the hearts of all creatures, but reaching out beyond the stars. Our native vastness encompasses even greater space. Such tremendous possibility lies within us. I live in that sphere of infinity and am conscious of the body only once in a while. You are limited now, but when, by deep daily meditation, you become able to transfer your consciousness from the finite to the infinite, you will be free. You are not meant to be a prisoner of the body. You are a child of God. You must live up to that divine birthright. Wherever your mind is, that is where you will spend your time. What if God had not given you the power to play or read or work? You could do nothing. So He should come first in your life. God knows what is in your heart. Give Him first place there. The only way to catch God is by love. Meditate upon Him and then deeply pray. Lord, I cannot live without you. You are the power behind my consciousness. I love you. Reveal yourself to me. When you give up sleep to meditate upon Him, when you forsake selfishness and cry because of His suffering in your brothers, He comes to you. When you actually sacrifice for Him, He is caught in the net of your love. Nothing else can capture Him. Knowledge prepares the way to love. You cannot love that which you do not know. Knowledge of God must therefore precede love for Him. That knowledge comes by practice of Kriya Yoga, the technique that Lahiri Messiah gave. When you know God, you will love Him, and when you love Him, you will surrender yourself to Him. Until your devotion for God and awareness of Him become complete, don't rest. Don't give in to sleep when you should be meditating. Never give anything preference before God. His love is the greatest love there is. So long as you let other things come first, He will wait. But your delay may be too long, and your suffering may be great. Don't procrastinate. Be certain in the sincerity of your conscience that you have made the effort to commune with Him. Don't rest. Don't give up until you can see Him with your own eyes or feel Him in your heart. Birth, play, marriage, children, old age. Life is finished. That is not living. Life is much deeper and more wonderful than that. When you know God, there is no more sorrow. All those you loved and lost in death are with you again in the eternal life. You don't know whom to consider your own anymore, because everyone is yours. The beauty of God is vast. To enjoy flowers for their loveliness is good, but far greater is to see behind their purity and beauty the face of God. To be carried away by music for its own sake cannot compare with hearing God's creative voice in it. Though God is immanent in the finite beauties of creation, it is wisdom to realize one's eternal self beyond form and finitude. You know how fond I am of our grounds at the Mount Washington and Encinitas ashrams. I never tire of their beauty. But the Lord gave me an awakening experience recently. I inwardly saw people sitting about and talking. One of them proposed some activity, but another said, "No, Paramahansaji taught that we must not do that." I suddenly realized that this was a vision of years to come after I was no longer here in this body. For a moment I was shaken, then I came back to ordinary consciousness. There is no use in becoming attached to anything in this world. So many things come and go in the Lord's cosmic drama. I see airfields destroyed and the sea filled with dead, and many other things to come. In my heart, I see a world without me. That freedom God gives ultimately to every soul. One great saint said, "I care not where I may be, O Lord, but punish me not with obliviousness of Thee. There is no greater punishment." Jesus said, "It is better for thee to enter into life maimed." All suffering can be taken away by the contact of God. In a dream, you may see yourself running down a street, pursued by an enemy. Suddenly you are shot, and you think, "Oh, how terrible! I am dying. I am sad to leave this world." Then you see yourself dead. The undertaker cremates your body, and your friends come to mourn when the ashes are laid away. But suddenly you wake up and see that it was only a dream. You are alive. This is similar to what happens at death. God showed me in a vision that those who are dying in the fighting in Spain are only dreaming a terrible dream of death. As soon as their consciousness is lifted from the body, they awake as from a nightmare and are glad to be free of it. Our life experiences are all part of a dream. Man himself has created the nightmare of war. But after its victims have been thrown from their bodies, they realize it was only a horrible dream from which they have awakened. They know they are not dead. This is a great metaphysical truth. If you know you are dreaming, you don't suffer from your bad experiences in the dream. But if you are identified with the dream, and in it someone strikes your head and kills you, that dream death seems a true and terrible experience until you wake up and understand it was not real. It is the same after death. Once you are out of this body, you realize you are not dead. You are free of a nightmare. So death is not the end. It is a freeing of the consciousness from imprisonment in the physical dream body. That release brings a sense of great freedom. We should never seek death. Rather, we should prepare our consciousness by meditation and God communion, so that when death comes, in its own time, we are able to look upon it as a dream, nothing more. I can see the dream nature of life and death anytime I wish. Hence, I attach little importance to this body. Live in the consciousness of spirit, in that oneness with God wherein you know that life is a dream. It is very easy to do when you make the effort. When suffering comes, it is more difficult to detach your consciousness from identification with the body. So be wise and make the effort now while you have strength and health. Material desires take away the desire for the infinite. Every day or so, someone tells me I need this or that. It seems ridiculous because I know that thousands do not have what I am told I need. If they don't need it, why should I? Your only real need is God. There is no other necessity. Be not attached to possessions, music, books, food, or any other sense pleasures. In God, you have eternal life. Become aware of this great truth. Otherwise, your appointments in life will take over, and you will die still bound by them. If you are one with Him, you are not compelled to return to this dream earth again. You are free to come and go as you like, to serve God and His children on earth. If you live in the joy of God, you will not know what death is. You do not get to that state when you pray mechanically. Become completely absorbed in your prayer with faith that God is listening. If you thus fervently, lovingly pray to God, He will come to you at any time.